and everyone chats and contributes. So Elena will start by saying a few words and get us thinking. But will someone unmute Kathleen? She wants you to unmute Kathleen. So we can just really start engaging and get going. We'll probably have some people join us. Otherwise, if we do have our mics open and there's noise in the background, just be conscious of that and then mute yourself, or we'll mute you for you. As you all know, Elena Chapman is a best-selling author. Her company and more information about the company can be found at soulmanifesto.com. We have exciting new programs coming out, similar to this Green Tara group. We have retreats coming up. We have more discussion groups. Her book, Hello Soul, should be coming out soon. And I'm excited to introduce our hostess with the mostest, Elena Chapman.
Hello, there everyone. Oh, thank you, Erin, so much. Hey, guys. Hi, I'm Elena Chapman, for those of you who don't know me. And this is the Green Tara. Do you know why I call it the Green Tara? Is because she is a Buddhist goddess who is always directed by her soul and lives by her heart. So I thought it was very apropos for this group. And I would love for all of us to be doing that. Tonight, I don't know how many we have on. Does anyone know how many we have on, Della? Do you know how many we have on right now?
A bunch.
Hello?
A bunch.
Okay. Adela? Not a bunch. We got a bunch. Okay. That's good. A bunch.
We have a bunch.
All right. So this is a discussion. We have a bunch. Okay, this is a discussion group. I'll start you out like Erin said. When we discuss, and guess who has to watch this golden rule the most is myself. Because I get so excited with what you're saying. And with technology, when I jump in, sometimes it cuts you off. I don't want to do that. So we're waiting a 3-second rule. After you finish, we wait. It's going to be a pause for about 3 seconds so we know you're finished and we don't cut you off, meaning probably me or someone else who wants to comment. I think that on top of that, I'm going to be talking about tonight, are you living in a state of fear? And how do you know you're living in a state of fear? Well, many people do know that they're living in a state of fear in that, we'll name them right off. You're living in a state of fear if you find yourself not sleeping. If you find yourself, you can't meditate because your mind is just going around in a worried state. Now, sometimes we don't even recognize a worried state, but what is a worried state? I mean, you know it if you're really, truly worried, but there's these nagging thoughts that just keep buzzing around in your mind. It can be something you saw on Facebook. You can be society at large. It can be the corona. It can be a job. It can be kids. It can be anything, but it just keeps turning and you don't ever feel like you're taking action on it, but it's always in your head. That is worry, and it forms into fear. And fear is an interesting topic. Fear is, we toss around fear so easily now, and we have people saying, oh, fear is your friend. Yes and no. Fear can get you going in the right perspective if you are one that's an action taker. But most of the time, we find that fear actually holds us back because we have the fear of success. We have the fear of failure. We have the fear of stepping out of our comfort zone, or actually, it's the fear of not being accepted in the groups we were accepted before. So all these different categories of fear, and there's many of things in between that, those things are what keep us in more of a state of fear. Now, let me make that clear. So you're afraid to step forward into whatever. You're afraid to conquer that that fear of success. So you stay in this zone of, I'm afraid, but I'm afraid to go out. But I'm afraid to stay in because my soul isn't happy, or there's something that wants me to move in a certain direction. And you lose a sense of control. Right now, people have been forced into a sense of lack of control. Some of us have grabbed that control in other ways, made it, but others have been sitting in this lack of control. And this lack of control causes us not to sleep right. It causes us to feel unenthused about moving in any direction. It causes us to ruminate and always have our head buzzing with things. And fear, I would love to hear, I want to, right there, a little bit of what we're talking about tonight, okay? I want to hear from you. Do you think fear is good or bad, or nothing at all? And if so, support your position, would you? Sound like a debate master. But I want to hear your reasoning behind it. So who would like to go first?
Come on,
Christina?
guys.
Hi.
Hello, you're unmuted.
Right here.
You get to hear. You got to hear that cackle.
I did.
So this is what happens when you put your camera on. You get chosen first. And everybody else is sitting in fear.
Yeah.
Good point, actually.
Yeah, they're like, that's
right.
it. Attendance
That's
drops
right.
to 2.
Yes.
You know,
Funny.
yeah, you know, I I personally think that I mean, fear is something. It's like you have to flex that fear muscle. You have to. I consider it like a workout. So for me, when I feel fear, I ask myself, what am I afraid of? You know, and I think if it's something within my control, then that automatically makes it my own. Say it's in my ball court, and I decide whether I want to handle it or not. You know,
Good.
and so there's that side. But the thing is that takes a lot of practice. That takes a lot of facing fear or running towards fear, and but initially you have to baby steps, you know, and so it's really about that process. And I always consider things around, you know, working those muscles and flexing them, and the more you practice, the better it gets. So it's like being on a video. You know, the more you practice, the easier it feels. So yeah. So anyways, I 2 cents.
That's a very good, healthy way of thinking of fear. Do you think fear is a necessary thing?
I personally do, because it helps myself grow as a human being. It of course can paralyze you if you permit it. But again, it's about going through that mental process, because it's really a mindset. How am I going to deal with this? And it's really about, I think, taking myself out of the situation and looking, you know, from above, and to say, you know, what is this person afraid of, or what would I tell this person? You know, like how would I approach this person's situation, not making it my own? So then it's easier for me to kind of handle it.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. That's a very healthy way of doing that. That's very good. Thank you. And we're coming back, so don't disappear. And anyone else would like to give their opinion?
This is Kathleen. And
hi, Kathleen.
How are you?
I am fantastic. How are you? You've been on before. It's nice to see your picture.
I just realized a minute ago that my picture was never up because I never did the start video. And you know, IT isn't my thing. What can
I know I do that. Technology.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think about fear?
Well, my thoughts on fear is that some of it is good, because it is sort of your gauge on things you shouldn't do or should do, possibly. Where I think, at least for me, where fear gets scary is when you see things that are out of your control. For example, I am looking for a job. I lost my job last year because it was eliminated. And so this COVID thing has really slowed down the job search. And I see the money going down, and I see more people and more people out of a job, and I can't control that. Now I can still look, and I can still be observant on my end for looking for jobs. But I think for a lot of us, and not just the job market, but there's so many things that are out of our control right now, and it makes us feel more helpless than we would normally.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
I
that's
guess
very true. And that is a fear that is, yeah. That is a fear that a lot of people are living with right now, a big fear. And it's a hard fear because you do feel lack of control. So that's a very good point to bring up. That's a very good point. Fear is a lack of control. You feel it, even though it's not always the case, but you feel it. Who else has, I don't see everybody on. For some reason, I get only 4. So, does anyone else want to talk? I see there are other people. Oh boy, we do have lots of other people. So does anybody want to talk? Hello, is it Luna? Is that correct? Say that a little louder. Hello? Hello, Luma?
Hi. Yes,
Hi.
hi, how are you?
I am wonderful.
Hi,
How are you, my dear?
doing? I'm fine, thank you.
I'm feeling great. So what do you think about fear?
It's something that I have been working on my art pieces. We need to fight that every day. Like that go in your mind, you need to stop and change your mindset.
Yes. Okay. I love it. Do you find that so does fear help you thrive or does it hold you back? It sounds like you have to learn.
Finally, hold me back.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, very good. I like that. Where are you from?
I'm from Dominican Republic, living in New York.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
What a time to live in New York.
I've been here for 7 years.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you've seen it when it's really lively and now when it's really quiet. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. Well, you'll get back on. Everybody's going to be able to talk. And pretty soon I won't even call on people. I just want everyone to chip in. Does anybody else have anything else to say about fear? Because this is the time. Erin, do you have anything to say?
Well, of course,
but you bebopped on and then off. So if I see you flash on, I call on you. I warn you, everybody. So what do you say about fear?
I have my 15-year-old sending me SOS messages, and I'm like, it's Thursday, I'm on a call. He's like, I totally forgot, so I'm putting out a fire. So for me, fear shows up more like, I think of it anxiety, but now I'm realizing maybe some of it's just fear. Like, is fear and anxiety the same thing?
Yes.
So.
No, it's funny. It starts as, it can happen either way. It can start as fear or it can start as worry. But worry always leads into fear because it's always from a belief. Mm. And then when you hit the fear and then the fear then leaps into anxiety. The lack of control of that fear leaps into the anxiety. And it can be a minor anxiety where you wake up in the morning. I saw a post from someone about how the first few minutes, it was Eckhart Tolle. He was talking about that first few minutes when you wake up and that feeling, that dread, oh my God, can I handle this? Oh my God, this is going on. Oh, and you get that butterflies in your tummy and that anxiety hits. That's very common. But yes, it is. That's a form of anxiety. It can also get really bad. You keep that up. And I have seen people who all of a sudden the anxiety is so bad that they go into that fight or flight response and the blood pressure goes up, the digestive system shuts down because then you gain weight, okay? because you are fighting this. Your body's not working right. It's in a fight or flight mode. The adrenal gland releases all this cortisone and everything else into the system. And what happens is you get adrenal fatigue. You wake up in the middle of the night and your heart is pounding for no reason at all at 135 or 132 beats. That's the extreme. That is a total anxiety outbreak. And can fear lead that way? Yes, it can, especially when you learn how not to handle it. Now, this is the thing, guys. What if I told you there is very little fear that is real?
What do you mean?
Yeah, I thought you might
My
say
fear
that.
for clowns is legit.
Everybody have fear.
Those clowns.
That's what you're
Fear
saying?
for
That's
clowns.
fear legit.
I know. I know. I have a thing about clowns too, I have to say. I don't know. Clowns, I don't want to be in a room alone with one. Let's put it that way. Of course, you know, I grew up with that Stephen King thing. Oh my God. That thing with that clown, that was it. But all right. Yeah, I can understand the clown thing. But everyday fear. There are very, you know, I tell this story. Gosh, I have so many stories about fear. But I remember when I was 10, I actually got lost on a mountain. I was a little girl who always wandered off from Girl Scouts because I was bored. And I took a girl from Canada with me because I needed an accomplice.
Always with the
And so
Canadian.
off we went. So off we went, and we soon found ourselves totally lost. Now, the girl I was with went into a full-fledged panic, total fear. And I looked at her, and the first thing that flashed to my mind is, oh my God, we're gonna die if she does this. And I'm 10. And I thought, okay, pull it together. What did Daddy tell you? What did Daddy tell you? What did Daddy tell you? Pull it together, Daddy. And then I thought, okay, moss grows on the north side of trees, and you follow the water down the mountain. Okay, I saw the trees. There was no water yet. So we looked for the trees. I said, go find moss on the trees. I thought if I give her a job, she'll calm down. And I started going and looking for moss on the trees. And we found it, and it showed us where north is. I said, okay, we want to go down the mountain. We want to go in the southern direction. Now, I didn't know if that was true. I just knew I had to get us going in a direction. Because in Vermont, there are black bear, there are, wild cats that I don't know which one it is, but it is one that will hunt you. And you need to be, you can't, we were 10 years old. We can stay the night on this thing. So I started walking down the mountain, and by God's good grace, we found water. And I looked at her, I said, okay, we just follow this water down the mountain. Just follow it and it'll come to a town. All towns are built around water. And so we went down and we got into the town. Now she cried and she screamed the whole way. If I had left her, she would have died or stayed up there for that whole night, or probably for a week or whatever. However, when we got down to the bottom of the town, the one who got in trouble was me, because I was the culprit. But that taught me a valuable lesson. It taught me that she created the fear. We were both in the same situation. And at 10 years old, I found a way to somehow get a control of the situation and move forward, where she sat in the fear. Do you see? And made up scary stories on how we were going to die. Fear is debilitating. There are very few things you need to be afraid of. Now, Me, I have a very fond respect of fire. I've also seen things in a fire. I had to get kids I was babysitting out of a house in a fire. So I know that, you know, that's conquerable.
Wow.
But there's a good thing to have fear when it's really founded. But most of the time, the fear is in us. And so the good news is, and the most fabulous news there ever could be, is that if the fear is in us, then guess who has all the control? Us. We have all the control of this fear. That's my dog, sorry. We have all the control of this fear. And so what we have to do is we have to change our thinking. We have to look at fear. Now, names. Who spoke first? Who was speaking first? Christina. Christina. Okay. Now, Christina, you have this wonderful way when fear comes in and you say, you recognize it. You look at it and say, okay, why am I afraid? And I'm going to follow Christina's first rule of thumb there. I love that, change the thinking. Good, Luna. Yeah. So what you have to do is you have to look at it. So here it comes. Yeah, okay, I'll give you another story. We're going to work through it together. So when I was newly divorced or getting divorced, and I was moving my family to a house. I was buying a house, and I was getting my very first mortgage ever. My very first mortgage. And I thought, you know, I was happy. The kids were excited, and I'm driving to the mortgage thing, the place to sign up for this house and get my mortgage. And as soon as I turned into the shopping center, I slammed on the brake and I froze. And all I heard was, you don't know what you're doing. You hear the thoughts. And you don't know what you're doing. And oh my God, you're going in there with a bunch of lawyers who know finance. You don't know finance. This is not your area of expertise. They're going to eat you alive in there. You are going to die. That's my voice. Very dramatic voice. But that's what I heard. And so I had to stop in my tracks. I still was frozen, but I said to myself, why am I so afraid of lawyers? And it came right back, because you don't know what they know. So I had to take a big breath. And I had to actually talk to it. And I said, okay, maybe I don't know. Maybe I am definitely not a lawyer. However, I am responsible for my family now. No one else is going to do this. It's up to me. I've got to step up to the plate. And if I really don't know what I'm doing, I'll tell them to wait, and I'll get my own damn lawyer and come back. And with that, then I thought of a plan right away, and it has to be easy. Because as Christina also said, and it's my favorite term in the whole wide world, guys, baby steps. You can conquer the world with baby steps. So you make it slow and something that you can easily accomplish, a baby step. Mine was drive the car to the parking lot and get out of the car. That's it, baby steps. And so I drove over there, and I was scared. And I stepped out of the car, slammed the door, and thought, all right, I'm walking in. And that's it, baby step, baby step. And then when I got in there, I saw that the fear wasn't that big. And that's what happens. It's never that big, but you've got to take the control. You have to talk it back with what you know. It's changing the thinking. And if you can't change the thinking, then you have to state why you're going to do it. How am I going to gain control of this situation? If my fear says they're going to eat you alive in there, well, no, they are not, because I am not going to allow that to happen. It takes a strength within you saying, this is not the case. This is not real. I can do this. Now, what do you feel about that? Anyone? Do you like it? Do you have a question? Is it not going to work? What?
I love what you said about
like it.
change.
I
the
hear
thinking.
crickets.
That is
Yeah.
what I'm thinking about. You can hear me?
Yes. So
Take
if
the
you're
control
changing
and
the
change-
thinking,
Change the thinking.
yes, I can, Luna. Yes.
This is a big
Exactly.
yeah, and take the control. But how you can take control?
So
Sometimes you cannot have
you
the
can do
control
it
of something
beforehand,
that you
too.
don't know. Without knowing
know,
the subject,
we
for
have
example,
more control in our. Yes.
it's something that I learned here
What
as
subject,
immigrant.
hon?
When I came here, I was always very secure about myself. But when I changed the country and I came and I don't know how it worked, I started feeling a lot of fear very frequently. And I said, well, I'm not like that, you know?
You're
But
not.
I
No.
was in another setting, learning new things, new people, new language, and that made me like weak.
Ah, but my gosh, look at how much you've accomplished. You have, what you have done is so incredibly brave. Do you not see that? Do you know how many people could not move to a new country, learn a new language? Do you know most Americans will not do that? And here you come, and you didn't go to some countryside where you might not have to see people. You went right smack dab in a humongous city. You have a lion's heart, and you don't even realize it.
Thank you.
No, that is really true. I am speaking the truth. To go into the Mecca of the United States, basically,
Yeah.
to learn a language, to form a whole new life.
Yes, it was like that.
You have got to start looking at in yourself how you really truly are a lion heart.
But at this point, for example, I went to college, I did a master, but at this point, I can get away of that fear. I'm still
Okay.
living.
So,
I'm still living, and I don't like
yeah.
the situation that I have.
Well, what kind of fear do you have?
Somebody else before said something about anxiety, and I don't know if the relation between fear and anxiety.
Yes,
or if
it
you
is.
develop anxiety after the fear, or living so
Yeah.
much with fear to anxiety. I'm not sure about that relation, and I don't have the tools.
So
to
are
work
you just
to get rid of that?
right? Well, hon, yeah. Well, I'll help get you started. If you want to learn more, we'll talk on the side and help you. But to start, what I want to know is it fear on everything, or is there something that you're trying to do that you're getting fear?
Yes, something that I'm trying to do. Exactly. Yes.
Okay, so it's doing so, maybe getting a job, maybe it's whatever. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's this one, okay, so it's one thing. All right. I think I want you to write a letter to yourself to begin, okay? I know you're gonna say, what, Elena, seriously? No, I want you to write a letter, and I want you to say, Dear Luna, I can't believe all that you have done in your life. And then I want you to write the letter. And I want you to write about this person that you are, this Lionheart, this person who has traveled miles to be here, the person when you were growing up, the things that you did, all the things that have built the character that you call Luna. Okay?
All right.
And I want you to read it to yourself in the morning and before you go to bed.
All right.
And then I also want you to do gratitudes to source or God or wherever. I want you to write 5 things that you're extremely grateful for.
All right. Yeah. Right.
Those
Sounds
2
good.
things I want you to do. Now, what it's going to do, Luna, I know it sounds so, well, nothing is hard. When you read this letter over and over to yourself, heck, you can tape it and listen to it, but I want you to hear all the things that you have accomplished and how strong you are. You're building the belief of how strong you are in every time you read it and do the gratitude. You're building in yourself this, I have already accomplished this. If I can accomplish this, why can't I accomplish that? Do you see?
Yes.
You have to build in, you have to see the lion in your heart that I see. So let's bring it out, read it, and what you're doing is you're building the belief of the lion and you're diminishing the belief of fear. Every time you build that, every time you read it, you diminish the fear. Every time, okay?
Awesome. Sounds so good.
I wanted to read something to everyone. It says, you must get rid of the last, I'm reading from The Science of Getting Rich, all right? And this is by Wallace Wattles. You must get rid of the last vestige of the old idea that there is a deity whose will it is that you should be poor, or whose purpose may to be serve you by keeping you in poverty. God loves you and wants you to live an abundant life. And here, the intelligent substance, which is everything and lives in everything, lives in you, and I call that spirit. It is a consciously living substance. Being a consciously living substance, it must have the natural and inherent desire of every living intelligence for the increase of life. Every living thing must continually seek for the enlargement of its life, because life, in the mere act of living, must increase itself. So while you're living on this wonderful earth and you are very much alive, that means it is inherent with every bit of the spirit that flows through you, the soul that is you, for you to create and receive the abundance. It is inherent to you to make bigger in your life, to have increase. Anything that detracts from that is an not real fear. Okay? If you can understand that, then you can start looking at your circumstances. Kathleen, with the job thing, you know, if you can start to look at your situation in a different way. First of all, my father always told me, in every crisis, there is always an opportunity. Some of these little sayings can get stuck in you, and it's the good ones you want to keep. Not everything in your subconscious mind is bad. So that one I chose to keep. In a crisis, there is always opportunity. And so when this crisis hit, I didn't sit and say, I just naturally expect an opportunity to come out of it. And instead of looking, don't pay attention to everybody who's losing a job. Don't even turn on the news anymore. No news, because it's all bad. And half the time, to tell you the truth, if you listen to the news, you don't know what to think anyway, because they don't know what they're telling you. They're all over the place. Everybody's all over the place right now. Don't even bother. It's chaos out there. Don't even look at it. And instead, start looking for opportunity. Make it when you get up in the morning, just open your arms and say, okay, God, I am ready to open my eyes wide to opportunity. I am not going to look the other way. If you bring it into my world, I am going to seriously look at it and I will take it up. I'll take you up on it. And just put that invitation out there. And what, if you say that, then you're going to start looking at opportunities that might not even be quite in your field or what you were doing before. It might morph into something else. It might change into something else. Heck, you might all of a sudden get the opportunity to do something so incredibly different, but fun. You don't know. It's going to open your eyes. And really, what fear loves to do, it loves to put blinders on us. It loves to have us go in just one direction because it's easier to have that fear in that direction. But the problem along with that is that things are brought into your life every day. But if you don't have those blinders off, you don't see them. That's how fear handicaps you. Fear isolates you. It really does. Because while you're worried in your mind with stuff, you don't see. You don't see the goodness. You don't see what is good in the world that you can do. So you've got to start saying, I am going to open up to all opportunity. And you know, with that, I've seen people, I had a person who was a waitress and she lost her job. But when she opened her eyes to opportunity, she just put her sign out. I saw her the other day. She put her sign out and started her own carrying service, you know, to deliver to houses. And she just got her name out there on Facebook. People started calling her. And then she started getting known by the restaurants. And now that this is over, she is delivering food to people, like one of those waiter on the ways. Isn't that incredible?
That's great.
But if you had asked her that before, she would say, no, I can't do that. Do you see? So I'm inviting you to kind of open up your eyes to all sorts of things. And please don't listen to the news. It's not any good right now. And they don't know what they're saying. I mean, it's all over the board. It really is chaotic at this moment. So
you know what?
it's not even worth it.
The news.
Huh?
I just turned it. I haven't been, and I turned it on today for whatever reason, and I'm like, why did I do that?
I know. I did too. And I thought, I don't need this. Now we're not supposed to wear masks. Now we are. Now we're not. Now we are. I'm like, oh my God. You know. Yeah. I really think, what is your, just out of curiosity, what is your profession?
I have been an executive director, event planning, human resources. I come from nonprofit. So I've been
Oh,
doing
wow.
20 years.
With everything you have so much in your background. My dear, just open yourself to opportunity.
I am working on it.
There, you know, and don't get caught up in the sadness. There is, for something like what you have, there is opportunity. It might morph a little bit, but allow it to. There is this law, guys, do you all know the law of compensation? Okay. It's a universal law. Universal law. It's not a United States law. It is a universal law, guys. And the law of compensation, it's like the law of attraction. That's a secondary law also. Law of vibration, law of polarity, law of cause and effect, law of all these others are primary laws. But the law of compensation is a law that if you're looking for new opportunities, there's 3 questions you should ask yourself, okay? Number 1, is there a need for what I do? Now that sounds simple, but you wouldn't believe how many people start things that nobody needs. And then they wonder why they fail. So is there a need for what I do? Number 2, what is my ability to make that happen or to bring people in who know how to make that happen? Number 2. And then the 3rd is the most important. how valuable am I in this? In other words, how irreplaceable am I in this? How that means, how am I the most unique? What is my uniqueness in this? Why am I different than all the others? And if you answer those three things, you've got success on your tail. Okay? You're welcome. All right, so that should help your fear, and that should help you feel a little more in control. Open to the opportunities, my dear, and know that whatever it brings, you've got the law of compensation behind you, you've got the wisdom, you've got the knowledge, you've got incredible experience behind you. You can make it happen. All right? Okay, so you're welcome. So what else do you think about fear? Fear, now some people feel that fear feeds them. And that is a special kind of person. They actually take the fear and they morph it. Now this is a different concept, okay? And you don't hear it spoke upon, but there are athletes do this sometimes. They have this fear, but instead of letting it debilitate them and hold them back, they use this fear and they twist it into a challenge. Oh yeah? My ego doesn't think I can do that? You're darn right I can. You don't think I can ski down here and jump that thing and end up, I'm not a skier. I mean, I am, but not really. So jump that thing and land on my 2 skis? I'm gonna prove you wrong. And they twist it, and so they get a fire in their belly and it propels them forward. Now you can do that. A lot
It
of
feels like a dare almost.
It's a dare. They change it into a dare for themselves. Erin, that might be good for you because I think you do have that edge where you say, okay, show me.
I've done that. I've done that before. And so for certain things, I totally can do that. But it's this other thing that it's not an action. There's not an action you can take to have it all work out, right? So like in college, this is going to sound ridiculous, but I was afraid to become a cocktail waitress. And I really wanted, it bothered me because I was like, oh, I would never be able to do that because I drop all the drinks on people. So then finally I just was it was so stupid that that kept going in my mind that I finally just applied to be a cocktail waitress. And then after my first day, I mean, I didn't quit, but after my first day, I was like, oh, I totally can do this now. That's my very basic example of this. But the ones that get a little more complicated are the ones that involve a lot of people that you can't really manipulate them all or just drop a tray of drinks on them and make it better. So
true, but it's an unfounded fear, but it's something that you're projecting, correct?
Yeah, like well, I think we all do. I think we fill in the blanks.
Stories. We do.
Yeah. So we fill in the
blanks. So if you have something in the future.
Sometimes it means worse. I'm really good at torturing myself, So anxiety doesn't happen often, but when it does, it gets me. Like it knows exactly where to hunt. So for me.
And you have a lot of intuition, don't you?
Yes.
Okay, so when do you distinguish when that fear is real and when is it intuition? Is that a good question for you or not?
It's a great question. Yeah, it's a different feel. It's a different feeling. Like when I get a ping that I know something is going to happen, I feel it differently than when I feel fear, like in anxiety. Even if what I'm getting a ping on is scary or sad, it's still a different feeling. Like when
you want to get to a point. Okay, so the fear is kind of, sort of, it's a projection. It's kind of unfounded. And okay, you can get to a point, I'll show you the goal, that when you start to think about, I did this just today, as a matter of fact. Where was I? I was driving with a friend of mine back from a store, and I started thinking about something that was off into the future. And then I thought, I said, well, you know what? I don't want to worry about that now, so I'm not going to. And if it really happens, then I'll deal with it. And I just shoved it off. Now, that's how I do it. But that's the goal. That's what you want to be like. So
Right.
when you have this projection of fear, it's a really, okay, if it's out there, I'm trying to think of a story or something that could relate. So if I am worried about, yeah, maybe I'll make something up. Tell me if this is something that is relatable, okay, to what you're saying. So I'm writing this book, guys, and it's totally different than anything I've ever written. Totally. I am in uncharted territory for myself, okay? So I'm writing this book. I'm having a blast, but I don't know if it's going to be received right. What happens? Nobody likes this. What happens if all this work is just down the drain? What happens if I get this book out there and everybody says, "Oh, I hate this." Is that something like what you think?
Yeah, I'm afraid of that for your book too.
She hasn't even read it. All right, so great. Now two of us. But
No, I mean, remember, get it, everyone, because I work in Elena's company.
That's
so
right. That's why. So she worries
if
about
no one
me.
likes her book, we're not going to last long for a company. So yeah, that book better be good,
No,
girl.
I think people are going to love it. But this is the thing. Because I've been doing some testing. That's one thing right there. But this is the real thing. First, I had to get over that to even write it. You know, and I sat down and I just said, okay, all right. So I'm doing this book and I'm doing it in a new way that I think is better. And I'm doing it in a way that I think is more fun and it's flowing from me more. And it's not telling people what to do, but instead inviting them on the journey with me. Now, why isn't that going to work? It's got to. And if it doesn't, then this was an experience and I'm going to let it go.
Right.
But, and I will just let it go. But I'm not going to stop doing it because I want to see this thing go.
Right.
And I'm not going to give you much thought. If it doesn't go, then we'll deal with that. We'll morph it into something else. We'll do something else with it. But I'm not going to entertain that thought. Right now, I'm just going to get myself totally involved with it and just make it come alive. And I think that's how I talk to it. You have to find your special language.
Okay.
But it is in a way that says, in your so many words, you're saying, yeah, I get your point, fear. I get you. But you know what? I'll deal with you later.
Right. Okay, I can
And
do that.
right now, I'm just going to live for the joy of it and do it. And if it doesn't turn out right, all right, then I'll figure out then. And that's my camera's falling. So if that is, that takes a few times. That takes practice to do.
Yeah, I can
But
try
do
that
it.
for sure.
Yeah. All right. So guys, do you see how fear has to become, you got to remember something. We create the fear. If we create the fear, guess what? It's part of us. And who do we know better than anybody in the whole wide world? Us. So don't treat the fear as such a horrible enemy. Start listening to it and then saying, wait a minute, this is something that's not helping me. Well, what is going to help me? Well, for Luna, it's building that lion heart she has and she doesn't even know she has, or it's opening to opportunity, or it's talking to it when it comes to you and saying, well, wait a minute, I'm going to put you on the shelf right now. I'm going to deal with you when I need to, but right now, why are you boggling me? Don't do that. I want to enjoy this.
Right.
And you have, I never think it's something, even though I really don't have that much fear anymore. I've gone through so much in my life where I had to be afraid, that I've really learned that the fear never served me. It never helped me think clearly. It never got me out of a mess. It never helped me see the opportunity for either my own advancement or my learning. It never helped me. In fact, it kept me in this illusionary world of impossibility.
Mhm.
So we owe it to ourselves to just clear it away. Say, wait a minute, this isn't real. Comments. Oh, come on. Yeah.
It is, I kind of agree with what you say, but rather than clearing it away, I almost seeing it as recognizing it and calling it out for what it is, and then realizing it's just fear, and what are you going to do about it, you know?
Right. That works. Kathleen, that works.
Never go away. I think we'll always have some kind of like Erin said, sometimes it's fear, sometimes it's anxiety. I think we'll always have it. We just have to recognize it and
Yeah.
Yes.
what we're going to do about
And
it.
when you recognize it more and more, and your tools get better and better, then when it comes, you can judge if you need to deal with it now or not.
Right.
Mhm.
Everyone gets a little bit of anxiety. If I get anxiety, and I do, Erin knows, I'll call her because I have to share that wonderful joy. And when I get that, I always have to say to myself, all right, I vent it out sometimes. Sometimes you have to vent it out. And then I have to say, all right, so what do I want to do about this? Do I want to stay in this, or am I going to be okay with the path I'm on? Or is this a sign that I'm going the wrong way? And then I have to make that decision. Most of the time I say I'm going to do it anyway. I do. I'm going to go for it anyway. And I know that you're there. And I'll tell you what, when this ride is over, I'll tell you you were right. But if I don't tell you I'm right, if I give in now and I don't do what I want to do, I'm going to have regret. So which
Right.
is worse? I'm going to go for it. And that's how I talk to myself. I'm very brass tacks with myself that way. But I'm giving the fear credence. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's right, though, either. Do you see? Does that make sense to
Yeah.
people? Your desire has to be bigger than the fear. That's what it comes down to.
That's a good
The
point.
desire to write the book is bigger
should
than
write
the
that
fear.
down.
The desire, you have to build that desire. We should. The desire has to be
should.
bigger than the fear. So Kathleen, the desire to have something that is completely your own, that is just a pure opportunity that just blows the mind of everyone, that has to be bigger than the fear that keeps you from it. And Luna, it's the same thing. You making it in that big apple, ooh, you know, that has to be bigger than any fear that keeps you from doing it. So build yourselves up. Thank you, Della. All right. So build the desire. Build the desire in yourself, your idea. Build the belief in yourself. You can do it. Of course you can do it. That's why you're here. And then the action to walk forward into it. All right. Kind of an interesting perspective. I'm not going to give you a fancy dancy affirmation. I'm going to let you talk to the fear. Because we have to get to know ourselves. When I was on that mountain at 10 years old, I was very lucky. I had someone going nuts. It made me take a look at myself and say, okay, I can join her and we can sit on this mountain and just cry. I thought about it. And maybe we can build a little stick place and pray the bears don't find us. I thought about that. But then I thought, holy crap, no, we're going to get eaten. I don't want to. I've got to find another alternative. Just like that. And my desire not to be eaten by bears was stronger than the fear. So what's your desire? Build it. Okay? Any comments from anyone now? Because we're coming to a close. I know there are people out there who have not spoken a word. Write in the chat box if this was helpful. Write in the chat box whether you can apply anything. Write in the chat box any comment. Maybe you think I'm full of bull. I would love to know. Oh, guys, I'm getting crickets. I'm going to start singing all by myself.
While people are typing in the chat box.
Oh, Christine, I'm glad.
I will say as people are writing in the chat box, this is what you interviewed Elizabeth Gilbert on from Eat, Pray, Love.
I did.
And so
I love
you know, in future Green Tara groups, we'll talk about that, but we videotaped it, and
yes,
she talks to her fear every morning.
You know, I should bring that up. Yeah, she doesn't poo-poo it. And Luna, I think you were the one. No, it was Christina. Christina, you're the one that hinted the closest to that the fear is every day. And you do have to talk about it. And if I remember correctly, you should listen to the interview. That's an Inevitable You, which is coming out. I did a whole program with her where we talked about this. And she had an interesting way of how she talked about it and what she brought in. And I don't want to ruin her interview by saying it, but
Right.
that's a lot of what we're talking about. But I agree with her 100%. I don't treat it like the enemy. Like I said, it's a part of you. It is you. So why treat it like an enemy? But that doesn't mean you have to deal with it right now. And if you build the desire more, and hers is to write books, her desire to write is so strong. And yet every morning she gets up to face that fear. But that desire is really strong. You know, now she just has to kind of work it out with the fear. The fear is not going to overcome because the desire is so strong. Do you see?
Mm.
Yeah, she couldn't sit in bed because the story would start coming.
Right.
I got to do something. I got to write it. You know what I mean? It would. Yeah. And both she and I know those ideas. If you don't stop to write it, if you don't stop to sing it, you don't stop to do what it's meant for you to do, then it goes to someone else. And she'll say that too. Yeah. Yeah, you guys, you should look at the Inevitable You. That was a very cool. There are so many really cool gem interviews with her and some others that was fun. That was a really worthwhile thing to do. Well, anyway, so does anybody else have any ideas or thank you, Christina, for the enjoy. Kathleen, I hope it works for you. Luna, yes, my dear, it will work for you. Feed that idea and feed that lioness in you. And everybody else out there, I hope you found a way to start looking at the sphere. You owe it to yourself to conquer the fear, to learn how to deal with the fear, learn how to talk to it, learn how to talk to yourself with it, and move forward. You are not meant to live in any kind of fear. That's not
Let's all meet up next Thursday and talk with each other, even if other people join, and we'll all quickly just talk about if we were able to do it a little more this week.
Excellent.
I don't know. Is that a good idea?
That's a good idea. I would love to hear how this works. All right, that's a pact with me. I will open it and find out, okay?
All right.
Oh, Mina, what a beautiful name. Thank you. I hope to see you next week. Bye, guys.
I'll see you all next week.
Bye.
I love you all.
Bye, guys.
Love you, love you. Bye-bye. Bye, Kathleen.
Goodbye.
Bye, Luna.